Welcome to News Edge, your sharpest source for daily headlines and deep dives. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay ahead of the curve. August 1st, 2025, a date that will be remembered for years to come as the world's attention zeroes in on the Taiwan Strait. The world holds its breath as Taiwan issues a bold, unprecedented declaration. Newsrooms buzz with urgency, and millions tune in to live broadcasts, sensing history in the making. This isn't a declaration of independence but a nuanced statement that shakes decades of stalemate. The wording is careful, yet its impact is seismic, sending ripples through diplomatic circles worldwide. In a move no one predicted, Beijing publicly acknowledges Taiwan's declaration. The world is stunned as China's leadership steps in front of cameras, choosing dialogue over confrontation, at least for now. For the first time, the language of the China-Taiwan issue has fundamentally changed. Analysts scramble to interpret what this new tone means for the future of cross-strait relations. The old cycle of threats and military drills is broken, at least for now. The usual saber-rattling pause is replaced by a tense, uncertain calm that blankets the region. For Taiwan's 24 million people, there's a glimmer of hope beyond the shadow of invasion. Streets are quieter, but conversations are filled with cautious optimism and questions about what comes next. For China, it's a risky but potentially stabilizing shift. Leaders weigh the consequences, knowing the world is watching their every move and word. For the world, it's a test of diplomacy. How major powers respond could nurture peace or reignite tensions. The stakes are higher than ever, and every decision counts. The rules in the Taiwan Strait are suspended. We're in uncharted territory where old assumptions no longer apply and new possibilities emerge. Why did Taiwan make this move? Why did Beijing respond so unexpectedly? The answers lie in a long, tangled history, one marked by conflict, compromise, and the ever-present hope for something better. This is more than a regional dispute, it's a global flashpoint. The outcome will shape not just East Asia, but the entire world order. The next chapter is being written right now, with the world watching every word, every gesture, and every decision as history unfolds before our eyes. To truly understand the tensions and headlines of today, we must look back to a civil war that, in many ways, never truly ended. The roots of the current conflict stretch deep into the past, shaping the destinies of millions. In 1949, after years of brutal fighting, Mao Zedong's communists seized control of the Chinese mainland. Chiang Kai-shek and his nationalist forces retreated to the island of Taiwan, vowing to one day reclaim the mainland and insisting they remain the legitimate government of all China. For decades, the world largely sided with Taiwan's claim, recognizing its government as the official China. Taiwan even held China's seat at the United Nations, representing a country it no longer controlled. But in the 1970s, the global balance shifted. As Beijing's power grew undeniable, most countries, including the United States, acknowledged the reality. The People's Republic of China governed the mainland. The US switched diplomatic recognition to Beijing, but Congress passed the Taiwan Relations Act, pledging to help Taiwan defend itself and maintain its security, even without formal ties. This policy created what's known as strategic ambiguity. The US recognizes Beijing's One China principle, but insists that any unification with Taiwan must be peaceful, leaving open the question of how it would respond to conflict. Meanwhile, Taiwan was changing. Over decades, it transformed into a vibrant, modern democracy. Its people increasingly saw themselves as Taiwanese, not just Chinese in exile, forging a unique identity and embracing self-rule. Beijing, however, has never wavered in its stance. It views Taiwan as a breakaway province, promising reunification, by force if necessary, and ramping up military pressure to assert its claim. This long, complicated history, marked by civil war, political separation, and diverging identities, sets the stage for the high-stakes drama we see today, where every move is fraught with meaning. Every word and action in the Taiwan Strait is scrutinized worldwide, as governments and analysts try to predict what might happen next. The stakes are enormous, with the potential to reshape not just Asia but the entire world. The past is never far from the present, echoing in every decision and declaration. At its core, the conflict is about identity, legitimacy, and the future of Asia itself. It's a struggle over who gets to decide what it means to be Chinese or Taiwanese. That's why today's events are so explosive, capturing the world's attention and sparking fierce debate at every turn. The world is watching, waiting, and wondering what comes next in this unfolding story, one whose roots run deep and whose outcome could shape the future for generations. What did Taiwan do? Yesterday, its president unveiled the Taipei Accord, not a declaration of independence but a diplomatic masterstroke. Taiwan formally dropped its claim to rule mainland China, a position it had held for over 75 years. The accord proposes mutual non-denial of authority. Taipei acknowledges Beijing's rule over the mainland, and asks Beijing to recognize Taiwan's authority over its own territory. The language is careful. No talk of independence or sovereignty, just governing authority and respective territories. This gives Beijing room to respond without losing face. The accord is a gamble. Some in Taiwan see it as giving up on unification, others think it doesn't go far enough. But the government frames it as a bold step to ensure security and preserve democracy. By dropping its claim, Taiwan reframes the conflict as one between two governments, not an internal civil war. It's a direct appeal to pragmatism, and a challenge to Beijing. The world braced for Beijing's fury. Instead, there was silence. Then, a measured statement from the Taiwan Affairs Office. Beijing acknowledged Taiwan's move as a substantive change, recognizing historical realities. It didn't accept mutual non-denial, but didn't reject it outright either. This is unprecedented. Beijing almost never treats Taipei's proposals as legitimate. The usual threats and military drills were absent. Why the change? China's leadership may see that threats only strengthen Taiwan's resolve and push it closer to the US. With a slowing economy and domestic challenges, Beijing may want stability, not conflict. This moderate response is a calculated risk, an opening for dialogue, not escalation. It signals a willingness to explore a new path. The world is watching to see if this is a real shift, or a temporary pause. For now, the door to peace is open a crack. The next moves will determine if it stays that way. Washington's response was swift and carefully calibrated, reflecting the complexity of the situation and the high stakes involved for all parties. The US welcomed the reduction in tensions, praised Taiwan's creative diplomacy, and acknowledged Beijing's restraint, signaling appreciation for efforts to avoid escalation. But it also reaffirmed its long-standing One China policy, emphasizing that official recognition of only one Chinese government remains unchanged, while reiterating its commitment to help Taiwan defend itself if necessary. Behind the scenes, American diplomats are working tirelessly, urging both sides to keep talking, avoid missteps, and maintain open channels of communication to prevent misunderstandings. The US warns Taiwan not to see Beijing's moderation as a green light for independence, reminding leaders in Taipei that any unilateral moves could provoke a dangerous backlash. At the same time, it signals to Beijing that while peace and dialogue are welcome, any show of aggression or coercion will be met with strong condemnation and international scrutiny. This moment is both a challenge and an opportunity for US policy, which has long aimed to deter war, maintain stability, and encourage a peaceful settlement between the two sides. The stakes are high. If talks falter or trust erodes, the risk of conflict could grow rapidly, threatening not just Taiwan, but the entire region. The US must walk a fine line, encouraging peace and dialogue, but also staying ready to respond quickly if a crisis erupts. The security of the Indo-Pacific hangs in the balance, with global trade and millions of lives potentially affected by the outcome. This is the ultimate diplomatic tightrope, where every step must be measured and every decision weighed with care. Every word and gesture matters, as even small signals can have outsized consequences in this delicate environment. The world's eyes are on Washington, Taipei, and Beijing, watching closely for any sign of progress or miscalculation. The next steps taken by these leaders could shape the region's future for decades to come, influencing peace, prosperity, and the global order itself. China's neighbors feel the shockwaves most. For Japan and the Philippines, a Taiwan conflict is a direct threat. Japan's southern islands are close to Taiwan. A war could disrupt vital shipping lanes and shift the regional balance. Tokyo's response is cautious but hopeful, welcoming dialogue and de-escalation. Japan has boosted defense spending for years, bracing for a Taiwan crisis. South Korea and Southeast Asian nations are also watching closely, hoping Beijing's moderation signals a broader shift. But skepticism remains. Beijing's policies can change quickly. The region's economies are deeply tied to both China and global trade. The Taipei Accord offers a rare glimpse of hope for stability, but every move from Beijing will be watched with wary eyes. Beyond Asia, the world reacts with cautious optimism. The European Union and major powers like Germany and France praise the de-escalation, but remain vigilant about China's broader ambitions. Eastern European countries and Australia welcome the news, but watch for real change. India is reserved, wary of Beijing's intentions. The United Nations applauds the peaceful turn, calling it consistent with the UN Charter. Relief is palpable. The specter of US-China war over Taiwan has haunted global politics. This moment is a rare window of opportunity. The world urges both sides to seize it and build lasting peace. The task ahead will require courage and wisdom. This moment is a double-edged sword, full of promise but fraught with risk. The opportunity to break the cycle of escalation, open direct talks, and build a stable status quo. Both sides could agree to limit military exercises, reducing the risk of accidental conflict. For Taiwan, it's a chance to secure its democracy without living under constant threat. For China, it's a way to resolve its thorniest issue peacefully and improve its global image. But the risks are real. Hardliners in Beijing or Taipei could sabotage talks. Any misstep could unravel progress and make the situation even more dangerous. Trust is fragile and public opinion in Taiwan is divided. Political backlash or instability could give Beijing an excuse to intervene. The path forward is narrow and perilous. Both sides must manage internal pressures while building trust. The world hopes they succeed. Failure is too dangerous to imagine. The past 48 hours have rewritten the Indo-Pacific's political script. The Taipei Accord and Beijing's acknowledgement have opened a door many thought was sealed. We've moved from threats to a new, unwritten chapter of possibility. The future depends on choices made in Taipei, Beijing, and Washington. Will this opening lead to lasting peace or collapse under pressure? The international community, led by the US, must support this fragile process. For Taiwan, it's a chance to secure its democracy. For China, a chance to show global leadership. The path ahead is hard, but for the first time in a generation, peace seems possible. The world is watching. The stakes could not be higher. Today, a new chapter begins, one that could define the 21st century.